This is Russ again, and now I'm the author of The Estate, and now we're going to be going on to chapter 12. Chapter 11 is a little interesting. As you know, Anna has these dreams and goes back in time, and it's always a story about something that happened in the family. This time, Anna is back in World War I. A member of the Sumner family is trying to escape the Germans in France, and the way they escape is they have this little brooch on their chest, and they know those are the people that help them get safe passage out of the country. The brooch is something she finds in the house in the basement, and there's a whole story about that, and a way the first owner got saved out of World War I. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and enjoy the next chapter, which is chapter 12. Chapter 12, The Uncashed Check. The brooch story made a deeper impact on Anna. The hummingbird was a powerful symbol during a challenging time in the world. It languished for years in the back of a drawer in the basement, but now it was prominently displayed in a shadow box on the mantel. She thought about how one amazing woman made an enormous difference in the world. She wondered if she would ever make a difference in the world, or if that was even possible now with her limitations. Ruby entered the room like a ray of sunlight, all smiles, and presented Anna with a bouquet of wildflowers she picked on her walk over this morning. "Absolutely beautiful," Anna exclaimed. "What a great start to the day. Thank you so much." Ruby was in a particularly good mood when Anna pressed her about it. She said that she was simply happy to be helping at the estate. "Every day is a new adventure, and we are getting close to figuring it all out," Ruby added. Anna thought it was interesting that Ruby envisioned a final goal that they would reach. Anna placed the flowers in a vase and addressed Ruby. "Today's mission will include some danger. We are exploring a filing cabinet full of paperwork, and there is a possibility of paper cuts." Ruby laughed. Before long, there were papers and file folders all over the large table in the dining room. Most of it was bills and warranties from decades past. It would all end up in the recycling bin for sure. But Anna didn't want to miss anything important. They sorted and resorted. The recycle pile was the large stack with years of records. The remaining papers would require a deeper dive. There were notes, newspaper clippings, and personal notes. They were about to discard the recycle pile when a check slipped out. It looked like the other canceled checks in the pile, but this one was different. It was not canceled. Upon closer review, the check became the most interesting find of the day. Perhaps the most interesting thing they ever found in the house. It read as follows: "Pay to the order of James Sumner the amount of $1,120,000. It was issued by the World Trade Center Fund and dated March 3rd, 2003. "Wow," Anna yelled. "An uncashed check for $1 million." Anna recalled a conversation she had about James Sumner losing his son JJ in the tragedy of the Trade Center. This check had been a reparation or insurance check for the families of the people who were lost. Anna could not comprehend why anyone would leave such a large check uncashed. There must be a story behind it. Anna was only a child when the towers fell, but she saw many hours of tapes about it. In the history of the world, this was one unforgettable event. Anna's dad spoke about 9/11 often. On that day, he watched the towers burning from an office building in Uniondale, 20 miles away. He remembered the day that was unusually bright and clear. He could easily see the New York City skyline on the horizon from the 8th floor of his Long Island office. The shock of the second plane jolted him as he was listening to the car radio driving to the parking lot that morning. He got to his desk and sat there stunned. The second plane crash made it clear that the first one was not an accident. He described the towers as two pillars of black smoke on the horizon. When the buildings fell, the pillars turned white. At that point, he had a terrifying feeling that thousands of people had just died. He imagined that the white clouds were carrying the souls to heaven. He stood crying at the window with his co-workers as the tragedy unfolded. He drove home in silence to be with his family. Long Island was always busy with air traffic, but there were no planes in the sky. In the years that followed, 9/11 funds were made available to the families of those who were lost. The Sumners were one of those families. Anna already knew that the loss of JJ was more than James could bear, and that his health spiraled soon after. Anna called Reggie, their historian, and told him about the find. He said that he knew the story about JJ, and it's a sad one. They agreed to meet and discuss it in detail. Saturday came, and Roger arrived at the estate with a Dunkin' Donuts coffee and a blueberry muffin for Anna. She was happy to see him as usual. The day was beautiful, so after coffee, he took her around the property to get some fresh air. Anna told Roger about the check and the sadness that she feels about the day every anniversary. He leaned down and gave her a kiss. "I love you, Anna. You have a good heart." This time, he brought tears to her eyes. She had no words. Later that day, Anna and Roger met Reggie at a cafe in town. Reggie always seemed to enjoy talking to Anna. He wanted to know all about the other things she found on the estate. He regularly complimented her on her research skills and historic enthusiasm. He could relate. He had a keen interest in the estate. Roger ordered a turkey club, and Anna showed Reggie the $1 million check. He looked at it with amazement. "I wonder if it can still be cashed. That's a chunk of change." Anna responded, "I haven't even thought of that, but I severely doubt it. No Sumners are left in the world, as far as I know." Reggie took a swig of his Coke and began to tell the story as once was told to him by Grant Sumner. On the 11th of September 2001, Jimmy was supposed to meet James Jr., aka JJ, for breakfast in New York City. JJ was a stockbroker for Morgan Stanley and worked in the North Tower of the World Trade Center. JJ was planning to go into the office a little late that day so he could spend some quality time with his dad. JJ Sumner considered his work to be his life. No wife or kids. He wanted a family, but also wanted to build a nest egg before that happens. He was killing it on Wall Street. He was smart and aggressive. Despite all of that, he missed spending time with his dad. He revered Jimmy, who on occasion would take the train into Manhattan to meet JJ for breakfast or lunch. September is the best month of the year in New York. The days are still warm, but the nights are cool. Fall, with its array of vibrant colors, is right around the corner. This September day was especially brisk and beautiful. The air was clean and the sky was deep blue. It started out as a perfect day, but ended up terribly. Jimmy Sumner was looking forward to having breakfast with his son. He was so proud of him and the success he was having. He admired his work ethic as well as his people skills. Jimmy was not great with people. As Jimmy was getting ready to go into the shower, the phone rang. It was JJ, and Jimmy let it go to voicemail. "Hey, Dad, we're all set. Same coffee shop as last time, 8:15. You know where that is. I'm in no hurry to get to work today. After breakfast, we can take a walk in Battery Park by the water. It's such a beautiful day. I'll see you soon. I love you, Dad." Jimmy smiled, knowing that he had one great kid. He was planning to take a PATH train into the city with time to spare. He had one stop to get coffee at Starbucks, and then he would be on his way. As Jimmy walked into the bistro, he heard a voice behind him. "Hey, Jimmy, what are you doing up so early and so well dressed?" It was Sonia, a lady Jimmy went on a date with a few years ago. She was a stunning woman with a confidence about her that could melt steel. Hey, Sonia. Wow, you look amazing, Jimmy stammered. They had some small talk and both got their lattes. Sonia had a devilish look. You know, Jimmy, I only live a couple of blocks from here. Can you walk me home? Sonia was a Latin beauty, and Jimmy was fascinated by her. He looked at his watch and calculated the train schedules in his head. He was still early. Sure, Sonia, it would be my pleasure, he responded, and off they went. When they got to Sonia's place, she invited him inside to show him some remodeling she did. No, Sonia, I must meet my son in the city, Jimmy said in a weak voice. His hesitance was a cue for Sonia to push further. Oh, come on, Jimmy. You can get the next train, she added seductively. It will only be a few minutes. Jimmy had an internal battle that he was destined to lose. When they started to kiss, all of Jimmy's resistance vanished. Her bed was soft, and so was she. After their last date, he fantasized about her body and becoming intimate with her. They say fantasy is always better than reality, but the reality of making love with Sonia was greater than anything Jimmy had ever imagined. A little while later, Jimmy took his watch off the side table and went into a panic. I'm late. I'm so freaking late, he yelled as he fumbled with his pants. When he got out the door, he reached for his phone. Not in his pocket. He ran back to Sonia's, and she handed it to him at the door. She was in a sheer silk robe, but Jimmy fought the temptation to go another round. Call me, she said, not knowing he would never call or see her again. Jimmy dialed his son. No bars. Shit. He dialed again and got the same result. Jimmy got on the next train, but cell phone service in the tunnel was even worse. He estimated he would get to JJ a little after 9. Surely JJ would be waiting for him. Jimmy was going to make up some excuse. He wasn't going to tell JJ that he was delayed by a booty call. The PATH train arrived at Penn Station, and Jimmy jumped onto a downtown subway. He emerged on the street and called JJ. He finally had bars. Now there was no answer. What the hell's going on? Jimmy looked up from his phone when he heard a woman screaming. Black smoke was everywhere. One of the towers was on fire. God help us, Jimmy yelled out. The breakfast place was a few blocks from World WTC, and Jimmy ran to it. No, JJ. He even checked the bathroom. Sweat was pouring down Jimmy's face. He was in a state of panic. Was JJ nearby in the crowd? He started yelling, JJ Sumner, where are you? Are you here? Next, Jimmy ran out the door and started running downtown towards the Trade Center. He was feeling overwhelmed and powerless. He tried his phone again without success. Now there were hundreds of people running from the towers. He couldn't go any further. He could see thick black smoke, and he could hear all the wailing sirens. Mass confusion. Suddenly, the ground shook like an earthquake. Evidently, the tower had just collapsed. It was a nightmare beyond comprehension. Now the faces of people heading towards him were indistinct. Everyone was covered in white powder. It was a pulverized drywall from the buildings. Jimmy sat in the doorway sobbing. When he looked at his phone, he saw that there was a message. It was from JJ. It was extremely hard to hear him with all the background noise, so he held the phone tightly against his ear. Hi, Dad. I got called back in the office, and I couldn't wait for you any longer. I'm sorry. I must tell you, Dad. Things don't look good here. I should never have gone back. I'm scared. I need to try and get out. There was a long pause, and Jimmy could hear distant screaming. Then JJ was back on the phone. I love you, Dad. You are my hero. I couldn't have had a better life than the life you gave me. It's okay. I am... The message ended mid-sentence. That was the day that Jimmy's life, as he once knew it, was over. Jimmy would never fully recover. He was convinced that he alone was responsible for his son's death. If he had only gotten his ass there on time, JJ would have lived. He hated himself for it. Jimmy checked hospitals the next 2 days along with many other family members, hoping for a miracle. But the reality of 911 was that there were few people hospitalized. The buildings trapped everyone inside. So many people perished that day. Reggie finished the story, and they just sat there in silence for a while. Both Reggie and Anna shed a tear or two. 9/11 was a terrible day in America, and personal stories underscored the horrible human element of it all. Roger escorted Anna back to the car and drove her home. They discussed the story for a while, and Roger tried to lighten the mood by singing along with a Taylor Swift song on the radio. I never knew just how badly you sing, Anna told him. He pretended to have hurt feelings. I just need the acoustics of the shower. I'll have to check that out sometime, Anna said with a smile. Roger stayed overnight, and Anna fell into a deep sleep. The 9/11 story lingered with her because she had another vivid dream. In this dream, she was in a smoke-filled room with many other people. She was in an office of some kind with desks and cubicles. The surreal part of it, on one side of the room, there was a blue sky. The wall was no longer there. She was calm, but everyone else was crying and praying. She noticed one man who was calm like her. He was quickly guiding people to the stairwell. He did not go with them. He kept returning to help others and warning people to stay away from the blue sky wall. Unfortunately, that was the only place with clean air to breathe. When the office was empty, the man seemed ready to leave too, but he returned to his desk to grab a picture from it. Anna could see that it was a picture of a young man and his dad. The man was James Sumner, the Good Samaritan JJ. He helped his co-workers escape. She wondered if any of the survivors told Jimmy Sumner what his boy did. Anna could see the stairwell was gone now, and the wall soon followed, and then the floor. JJ seemed to float in the air for a few moments as the building disappeared around him. There was a beam of light on JJ's chest from above. His body became translucent, and Anna tried to grab his hand. He looked at her and he was smiling. It's okay, Anna. Everything is as it's supposed to be, he said. He broadly smiled, and in the next instant, he was gone. Soon, Anna found herself falling through the smoke. She screamed out, "Help! Help me! I'm falling!" In the next moment, she was fully awake with Roger holding her close. "I had a bad dream, Roger. I was falling." He responded, "I know you were." He looked into her eyes. "Don't worry, Anna. I'll always be there to catch you."